In this session we are going to discuss about cascading style sheets. Let us see what is cascading style sheet. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. This CSS is a specification controlled by the World Wide Web Consortium W3C. Whereas HTML controls the organization of a web page document, CSS controls the presentation and as well as layout of the web page document elements. CSS version 1 is used to visual presentation of elements. CSSP is used to positioning of elements in the web page, and the CSS version 2 is used to visual and audio presentation of elements. It includes attributes from CSS1 as well as CSSP also. Similar to CSS, there is another style sheet XSL for XML language. Let us see what are the capabilities of CSS. Using CSS, we can separate form from the structure of the web page. Using CSS, we can control the layout of the web page document by alignment, spacing, margins, and adding colors and giving values to the floating elements, etc. Using cascading style sheet is very easy to maintain and updating many web pages faster and very also easier. Let us see about the CSS terminology. Generally, CSS cascading style sheets are the statements are known as rules. Let us see an example. Here h1 header tag header element of the HTML is given green color. This CSS rule is used to display the text surrounded by the h1 tags in green color. A rule has two parts. The first part is known as selector and the second part is declaration part. Again, this declaration part has two parts. The first one is known as the property and the second one is the value. In general, the syntax for the CSS rule looks like this: HTML element or HTML elements, and within the curly braces property 1 and correspondingly value of that property, and property 2 correspondingly it may have more than one value, like value 2a, value 2b. Let us consider the following example. In this example, we are going to assign some styles to header 1 and bold elements of the HTML. Here we are assigning some values to the color and background and font family properties. Now let us see how these cascade style sheets are added to the web pages. There are 4 ways to add these cascade style sheets to web pages. The first way is to insert a style sheet within HTML document. The second way is to link to an external style sheet from the HTML document. The third way is to add the styles inline in the HTML document. The fourth way is to import style sheets using URL. Let us see how these 4 ways are implemented. Then coming to the first one, that is embedding a style sheet within HTML document. In this method, all the style sheet rules are written within the same document. At the top of the HTML code, that is within the head portion of the HTML document. Let us consider one simple example. In this example, the header tag contains one other tag named style. Here we are assigning some styles to header 1 element of the HTML. For color property, we assigned a value green, and for font family property, we assigned a value impact. It means that all text surrounded by the H1 tag should be displayed in green color and using font impact. In this method of embedding a style sheet within HTML document, the style applies to the whole document. Let us see an example how a style sheet is embedded into a HTML document. In this example, we are assigning some styles to header 1 and header 2 elements of the HTML. Here we are assigning green color and impact font for the header 1 element, and blue color and courier font for header 2 element. Here we printed two statements using header 1 using cascading style sheets, and this is the first header, and using header 2 we printed one statement. This is the second header. You can observe the output in the second window. Then coming to second way of adding style sheets to web pages, that is linking to an external style sheet from the HTML document. In this method we already creates a style sheet, and that style sheet is used as a style template, and that file is called into our HTML page, or we can add this file into a number of pages. The created text file, which contains the style sheet rules, is saved with .css extension. Let us consider an example of .css file. Here a file was named mystyles.css. In that the header 1 and bold elements of the HTML are applied some styles. The header 1 element was given green color and bold element was given red color, and the impact style font style is given to header 1 element, and courier font was assigned to bold tag. This mystyles.css file is included into the HTML file using a link tag. Let us see how this link tag is used. Here we are using link tag. Here an attribute rel is mentioned here, relationship to link, that is style sheet, and that we are referring to the style sheet, that is the file name is mystyles.css. The type is text.css. Let us see an example to link to an external style sheet. Here in this example, mystyles.css contains header 1 element and bold element, and we assign some styles to both these h1 and b elements of the HTML, and we call this mystyle.css file in our HTML file, and here we outputted two statements using h1
CSS link to an external style sheet, and using bold tag we use it to we output a difference. This is text style. We can observe the output in this window. Then coming to the third way of adding styles to web pages, that is adding styles inline. In this method, style sheet rules are applied to some particular HTML tags. Let us consider an example. In this example, we are assigning some styles to bold tag. We are assigning purple color to the color property and yellow to the background property. When we add styles inline, the styles applies to only that particular tags only. So let us see an example how this works. In this example, we are applying styles to this bold tag. We are applying color purple for this bold tag and background as yellow. For this second tag, we are not applied any styles, so we can observe the output here. Then coming to the fourth method of adding style sheets to web pages is importing external style sheets. In this method, we add style sheets which are external to the HTML document are imported into the style element within the head element of the current document. This method is similar to the linking method, but useful when we want to override some styles when you include it in your own style sheet. Let us see an example. In this we uses @import method, and an URL method is used to import the .css file. Suppose if the unordered list element of this HTML element is already existed in house basic.css file, then that style will be overwritten by this style property. So the imported sheets must be appear before any document specific styles. Then coming to the next topic, cascading style sheet classes. Using these CSS classes, we can selectively apply a style to HTML elements. Using these CSS classes, we can define different classes of styles to the same element and apply the appropriate class of style when required. Let us see an example. In the HTML tag P, paragraph element is divided into different classes, first, second and third. We are using the same element, the same paragraph element, but we are divided into different classes. So if we want to add styles to these classes, then we will write style sheet as follows: p dot first color green, p dot second color purple, p dot third color gray. Let us see how this works. Considering the same example, here the paragraph tag is divided into three classes, and those three classes are assigned some different colors. So the output is as follows. Then coming to contextual
selection criteria. Using this contextual selection criteria, we can define tags within tags, and we can define a style to happen when certain tags are used within another tags in a specific order. For example, to specify a green text color for all EM elements inside H1 elements, we can write HTML code as like this: style type equal to text by CSS, header 1 EM, and color green. So let us see how this works. So consider the same example. Here we are using defining tags within tags. Here we are using EM tag within H1 tag. In the specific order, we are assigning green color to this specific tag order. So the output is as follows. This is another cascading style sheet example. Cascading style sheet displayed in green color. Then coming to the next topic, positioning elements using cascade style sheets. Dividing HTML page into layers is an approach to organize pieces of content in a meaningful manner. The layers acts as a containers of content. We can create CSS layers by grouping some block of content containing text, images or audio files, etc. using div, span and layer tags. Layer tags does not contain any formatting properties of its own. Using CSSP, we can position layers at some XY coordinate position. This positioning of the layers is done in two ways. The first one is specifying the styles within the div tags. The second method is specifying an ID to the layers and then controlling their position and appearance using these IDs. There are four types of specifying position of layers using CSSP. The first one is the horizontal and vertical positioning. The second one is the clipping size of the visible element within the positioned area. Then the third one is using Z order index, and the fourth one is visibility of the positioned element. Then coming to the first way of positioning layers using CSSP, the first one is horizontal and vertical control. Left and top that are related to the distance from the leftmost topmost corner of the document window. Using absolute positioning, it takes its starting point from the upper left corner of the browser pane, that is coordinate 0 0. Relative positioning allows you to place an object in relation to where it would normally have been positioned if only HTML were the only position control. The second method of positioning layers is clipping size of the element. Height and width establish the area in which the layer is positioned. The height property and width property we mentioned affect the layer position. Then coming to the third method of positioning layers is establishing a Z order. Z index is an integer. The higher its value, the closer it is to the front in the Z order plane.
Z-index is very useful when more layers are overlapped, then which layer is to be in the front is mentioned by the Z-index integer value. The fourth method is controlling visibility of HTML elements. Make any element or group of elements invisible. This enables selective display of different parts of a document when used in combination with the document object model DOM exposed to script.